listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
We should start EIB now. See guys, EIB is the first kind of integrations that you would use in any other organization. Now why I said that this is the first type of integration that you are going to use. First, EIB has a lot of things, which no other integration can give it to you. What is the speciality of EIB? EIB is called as Enterprise Interface Builder. Here we can use the report that we converted into web services as a source of data. And we can convert that and use it to send the data outside of the system. Now before we get into the actual EIB, let me explain to you. There are multiple types of integrations. What are the other types of integrations? I'll start from the beginning. You have EIB inbound, you have got EB outbound. Then we have core connector. The core connector is maximum used for outbound. You'll rarely see using it for inbound, but it is used for outbound. Then you have Studio, right? That's a fourth type of integration, Studio. Now Studio, what happens is it's a plugin which is basically installed. A plugin which is basically installed on Eclipse. When we talk about Studio, right? Studio. Basically what happens is it's a tool which is outside of the tenant. EIB core connector. Whatever we are going to build, that will be inside the tenant, the Workday tenant. But when you use as a Studio, right, it is a tool which is outside of the Workday tenant. You don't need the tenant directly, to use Workday Studio. Once that installation is done on Eclipse, you are good to basically start the development. Here, you will use, just like pictorial representation, how you build the flowcharts and everything right. You will put that as a flowchart, but in order to connect, in order to put the logics, you will have to write the code. And what code or languages are used in this? You have XML, XSLT, and a little bit of Java that you can make or you can put the logics correctly. That is how your Studio works. And then we have SOAP and Rust API integrations, guys. SOAP and Rust API integrations. They are completely outside of Workday. At least you were able to connect, using the web services or token system, you were able to connect the system. But when you use SOAP and REST API, it is not even used in a tool. You can use Notepad to write your own code. When I say not bad, which means it's a completely hardcore programming. You may be aware about any particular coding language, such as Java. Then how can you set up a code which will basically help you connect to the system? That is where your SOAP API comes into picture. And similarly, your REST API comes into picture. These are the 6 types of integrations that we have, guys. Out of that, as I stated, 25% of the integrations in your day-to-day activity would be done through EIB. That is true. EIB inbound or outbound. And 60 to 65% of the integration will be done by core connector. That comes approximate 85 to 9%. Remaining 10%, which is very complex, and which cannot be achieved through EIB and core connector. For those you build Studio integrations. And even if there are things which cannot be achieved through Studio, then you will have SOAP and REST API. All these things, I'm going to share a PPT with you. This PPT will contain all this information, and you get along with that core connector documents and then calculated field documents. Everything you are going to get. I mean, it was not uploaded yesterday, but today definitely it will be uploaded. This is what I wanted to discuss. And now we are going directly into core. Sorry, EIB, not the core connector. Alright. Now the task to create the things. How do we actually create the integrations, right? That's very easy. We'll type the task here, which is called as create EIB. This is my task. And then you see, start creating your EIB by giving it a name and selecting its direction. Outbound EIB is export data from Workday to the external systems. Inbound EIB is import the data from external system to Workday. This is the main. I am going to go ahead and build a EIB. I'll say something like this. What I'm doing is udiv underscore EIB underscore OB. I'm keeping such a name because I'll be able to remember right. And I'm going to create an outbound EIB. This is my outbound EI. I'll go ahead and click on. Once I go ahead and click on, it will be more like a wizard. If you have installed a application, that what you will do is you will click on next, next, next. And you will be able to move further right. I've got the name and the ID. If you see the name and the ID is almost the same. Why the name and the ID is almost the same? Because I've kept the name such a way that it is very unique. And Workday has given this ID. We have not created it. But if you want, you can edit it. That is what you can do. But we don't need to edit. We're just trying to create it. We'll keep it like the way it is. And then we have the option. We'll click on next. This is a text box where what you can do is you can put something like this. This EIB helps us to transmit the data to a third party. Because it's outbound. Outbound, what does that mean? It will extract the data from Workday and send it to a third party. This is how it works. What is the use of this? ID databases. ID is a unique entity. For example, if I have to link something, and then this ID is going to help us. Are we using that going forward in building? No, we are not going to use it. But Workday provides a unique identification. That's the reason the ID is generated here for anything that you create. Does it make sense or no? It's not clear. I understood that this ID was created by Workday. And to link something, it is used. And that linking, who is doing it? Are we doing it while developing this EIB or something internally? No, no, no. It happens internally. We don't do it. And another thing is this ID is a unique thing for Workday to keep it, internally safe. That's the only thing you can understand. Take it in that way. Because when we will be building the integration, now we are going to use an ID. Does that make sense? Already we have a unique name, right? Why again unique ID? This is Workday. How they want to build it. Again, we are not controlling it because this field is not generated by us. Right? Alright? The next thing is, how do you get the data? This is where your source will come, but from where you are going to get the data. This is outbound. When there is any outbound, integration. What happens in outbound? Who can tell me? We extract data from Workday and send it to downstream. Not downstream. We send it outside of Workday. Now you see, gets data. It is asking you what is the source of your data. Data source type. There are two ways in which you can extract the data. And if you remember, I have explained it to you. One is called as web service and another is called as custom report. Here it is. Web service and custom report. I will show you it with custom report because we have built an advanced report with web service. Inbound, I will show you with web service because there you can't use custom report. Now any custom report will not work here. That means if I am trying to use any other custom report, a simple report, a matrix report or inbox search report, no. It will only be a report which has web service enabled, which has the RAS enabled. If you don't have that enabled, you will not be able to find that report. What did we create? Ready? Can you search it? This is the report that we have. And with this code, we have created multiple reports. We created simple also, and the advanced also. But advanced with web services has only come here. If I am trying to search, other reports would also come, right? But it is not coming. Because here only that report can come where web services are enabled. Does that make sense to all of you? Or is there a confusion in this step? Not clear, right? Now we have selected the place from where we are going to get the data. Then what we will do? We will click on Next. And then a transformation step will come. Now, what is this transformation? Transformation is very important part. Now, why do we say it is very important? Because what Workday does is internally Workday converts this data that is there inside Workday into a more transferable form. Transferable form means in which form you want to send the data. It will be decided by Workday. We cannot go ahead and make anything here or make the changes here. What will happen here, guys? We will have to select a way in which you want to transform. If you see there are multiple options you will get. Like it is custom report transformation, and new custom report transformation. We have used a custom report. Now that custom report has never been used or has never been transformed earlier. Because this is the first time we are using it. Right? We have just created it yesterday and today we are going to use it. No. Right. We have never used that in any integration up to now. For that purpose, we will use this option which says New Custom Report Transformation. And once I select the New Custom Report Transformation and I will go ahead and click on Next. Then what will happen? It will convert that into the transferable form. Or we will not be able to see what format it is because it is hidden. But we will get the transformed file. I will show it to you. Apart from that, these two options are there, right? It says custom transformation and custom report transformation. Now, new custom report transformation basically helps us. New custom report transformation basically helps us to generate the transformation file for a new report which has never been transformed. When you talk about custom report transformation, which means there is already a file that is existing and we have used that in a previous integrations, or we have converted that or transformed that report. That you will not get this third option, which is new custom report transformation. Then comes the option which says custom transformation. Here, basically we can put our own code. Own code means suppose I am extracting the data from custom object. In that case, I want to put my own XSLT. I can do that. But you will rarely see anybody doing that in EIB. Because coding is generally not involved here. But Workday has given you that option. What I will do? I will just use this option, which says New Custom Report Transformation. And as soon as I will click on Next, there will be a transformation file that will automatically be coming up here. Right now it is empty. I will go ahead and click on Next. It goes to the delivery, but I will go back and then you will see this option. See, this transformation is already done. And that new custom transformation file is gone. New custom report transformation option is gone. Now why it is gone? Can anybody tell me? That's no more new. You already used it here. We have already generated a transformation of this particular report. It gets now onto this option which says custom report transformation. And this file, which is the transformed file, is here. clear to everybody? How the transformation works? Is there anybody who is not clear on this? Please tell me. Can you see the customer? No, you can't. That is what I said, right? We don't know what is that format. And that's not accessible to us. We can't. We can view that. No, I was saying there is 3 options, right? The second option. Can we see the custom transformation? If you put a custom transformation, you have to put your own code here. That's what I'm saying. We have to write a code outside and refer that file to. You see, you have your XSLT code here, right? You can put the XLT code. You have to first upload it and then only it will come here. Now, when I choose custom report transformation, right, I will be able to see that data automatically. I mean to this say this file comes here automatically. Now I will go ahead and click on next. Now you see, this is very important part, which is called as delivery. Up till now what we have done. We have put the general parts like your name and ID of the outbound EIB. Whenever we talk about outbound, which means it is going to extract the data from Workday and it is going to send to the third party. First step, you have got the name. Second step, you have got the source from where I have to get that data. You know from where we will extract it. Then the third step is to transform. Convert that into a form. Convert that into a specific form that it can be easily transported on the web. That is the meaning of transformation. And now fourth step is to deliver. Where do you want to deliver the data? Now here, a lot of things depends upon your client or the customer or the vendor to whom you are sending the data. Because they need to tell us where do they need the data. What kind of connections needs to be built? What is their server where we have to send the data? Are they using FTP server? Are they using FT? Are they using HTTP? Or are they using Amazon services? Right. Whatever they are using. And those options are already there. If you look into this, it says delivery method. You see, I'm a simple storage service, ACE2, IMEI, FT, PFTP, SSL, HTTP, SSR, SFTP. Use existing delivery method and Workday attachment. Now, what I am trying to explain you here is to whom we are sending the data. Because it is outbound EIB. Correct. Outbound EIB itself means that I will be sending the data from Workday to any third party. Now that third party has to disclose these details. What kind of server connections they are using. If they are using Amazon Simple Storage. How many of you know about S3? Amazon S3. Do you have any idea? Have you ever heard about it? Or have you ever used it? ND. Have you heard the name? Only one person knows it. Do you want to tell about it? What exactly is S3? As you have used it. It's kind of a storage system where we can store our data. And it has like it can be accessible through these keys and access ID and secrets. Let me add a few things. Suppose one of your client or customer or vendor, whoever is requesting the data, they are using AWS. AWS is basically your Amazon Web Services. In Amazon Web Service or AWS, the mechanism to store the data is basically called as S3, which is also called as Simple Storage Service. That is provided by Amazon Web Services. Now, any data that you want to store, it will be dumped into S3 bucket. Why we call it as bucket? Because it contains a lot of information and you can set it up in such a way that you can have lots of data in that. You can have basically the organizations use S3 to dump their data. If they have to archive something, that also they will put it in S3. What happens here? If your client or vendor or the customer to whom you have to send the data, if they are using Amazon Web Service, then you have to select this option. Get the bucket ID. Bucket is something which they will know. We will not know about it. Then, once we have received that information, then we will come to know that in which area of the world their data center is located. If you see, Amazon Web Services servers are located in different parts of the globe. You have US City, Ohio, North Virginia, California, Oregon, right? Then if you talk about APAC, you have Mumbai, Osaka, Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo. Then you have one in Canada, that is Central, right? Then China, in Zixia, Frankfurt in UK, and there is one in Beijing. This is all Europe. Frankfurt Island, London, Paris, Stockholm, and then one in Brazil. Why is this distributed in such a way? This is distributed in such a way because the organizations have to be compliant as well. Now, compliant means what? Let's say that some organization is expecting us to store the data in their region, specific region, only because of GDPR or some sort of policy they have. Then, as per that, we have to select. For the EU customer, we might have to choose one of the EU region. For US, we might have to choose the US East or something like their region. Let's say Indian government is saying no, our data cannot go outside. Then we can choose Mumbai region also. Correct? See, that is the most important part. If you have to be a good or a compliant IT company, right? You have to follow the laws of the land. Laws of the land means wherever you are operating, your laws have to be followed. And as rightly stated, that if you are storing the data and the government is saying no, I cannot allow you to take the data of my citizens outside of my country. In that case, you have to store the data in that country itself. And that's the reason you have multiple data centers all across the globe that they copy. Whatever the data they are storing, that is not made. I mean, the copy is not made and it stores it in the same server. Although these all servers are interconnected, guys, but you can't breach and try to get the data from one system to the other. Because there are several checks and firewalls are created in such a way that you will not be able to access those information from any other country. That's the reason the number of data centers and servers have increased tremendously. And to access it, you need to have what? Your access key ID and a secret access key. All these things are provided by whom? When you take the subscription of AWS and particularly S3 bucket, you will get this from Amazon. And you will share with us, considering that you are the customer who is going to use the data. And I am trying to send you that information through AWS and Workday. That is how it is interconnected. Does that make sense? Or no, it's not clear till now. Then you have AS2. This is another protocol, guys. This is a little more secure. Why I am saying it is more secure? Because if you see here, we have to actually put the endpoint. Now, do all of you understand the meaning of endpoint? What is endpoint? Is there anybody who does not understand what is endpoint? Considering that you all understand the endpoint, whenever this AS2 is used by any of the customer, they give us that AS2 address. AS2 address is basically your AS2 endpoint. Now this endpoint tells us about the information. Now what information? That way exactly I have to send the data. That is the endpoint. Because my source is Workday, my destination will be this endpoint if I am using AS2. And then you have few IDs with which the data has to come. It is like from ID. Now, from which you are sending the data to ID. To ID is basically to which customer you are sending it. Then there is a public key for encryption, private key for signature, public key for SL and public key for SL acceptance. Now all these make the data much encrypted. That if you don't have these keys, you will not be able to decrypt the data. And look at what data has come. And that is the reason I said that this is little more secure than the other integrations. But this is very rarely used. I mean, in my career, I have just seen one customer using it up to now, and that was a bank. And apart from that, I have never seen anybody else using it. This is very rare. You will not even see that in your day-to-day activity. But in case you get it, you should be aware, like you know how exactly it works. Any questions, doubts on this AS2? Then I will go to email. This is the most simple way of sending the data. What you need is to email address to whom you have to send the data. But the fact is, you are sending it through integrations. Integration means you are sending it through EIB here. That email address will always remain same. And from email address, see what happens is, whenever you have integration system, you generally don't use your personal or your corporate email ID here. There is an integration user which gets created. Integration user which gets created, and they have their email ID. Whenever you have such integration where you actually need an ID, that user, the integration user or the dummy user which gets created, that email ID are used everywhere because that is configured to run all your integration. Does that make sense to all of you? Will it populate automatically, or do we have to put in? We have to put in. From email address, we have to put in here. It's not like it will automatically pop up. is your customer. And then from, right? And you have to put the subject. But once you have done it, you need to configure it only once. After that, this integration, you can schedule it. It will keep on running, and it will keep on using that link. You don't have to worry about that. For the first time, you have to do it. Next time onwards, it will not ask you to perform any. This is your email. How many of you actually understands? Have you used this before? Anybody? These are the most common integration that you will get. Because this is very easy to build. Not a very high. Option. It has. It is available in a very low price. This kind of addresses are available in a very low price. This is the most preferred type connection. It is called as file transfer protocol. And here you see, it will ask you for the F address. How exactly? You have to type in, how exactly you want to connect the FTP address with F. Here you see, it will be in this format, FTP : // basically, here you have to put either the IP address. You have to put the name of the FP server. Right. That is where, it becomes very much important. Let me search it now. Otherwise, it is gone. I made a mistake. This is the one. Right. I will go ahead and click on Actions. Go to Enterprise Interface and edit. Because this is not completed yet. We have to complete the delivery of it. We were talking about FTP. When we use it, right, you have to put that address in such a way that you have that, brief live p : / and the address of it. And then you have the directory. Directory basically tells you, it is a kind of a folder where your data is going to be stored. If you are putting it into drive, D drive, whatever it is, you have to tell it. And the path has to be put here. That is the meaning of your directory. With that, you would also need a username and password. Why do you need a username and password? Can anybody tell me? Authenticate. You are authenticating on a third party. You are trying to authenticate yourself on the third party system, because when you are going to deliver the data, which means you have to enter their premise, which means your network and everything you will be able to enter. And if you don't have a valid username and password, your system. The other system, the FTP system, would not allow you to enter, and it will kick you out. For that purpose, user ID and password is required. That is how FP works. Any questions on this? Maybe we don't provide if fix it with FP. And then you have the address here. That's it. And then comes tip SSL. SL basically stands for Secure Socket Layer Base. Whenever you have any network, you know where integration is used, and you are using SL connection, basically means it's a secure connection. There is already a username and password associated with that earlier with the FTP, right? But here the additional layer of security is added through certificates. Do you know what is a certificate? How exactly it is used? Anybody know? Apart from you. Ajitya, is there anybody who? No. No. What happens when you are using connections? Connection. To make it secure, a lot of providers, what they do is they add extra secure layer, which is called as SSL. What exactly is this? It is nothing but a simple certificate. Certificate basically means, it's something that will convert the data into a particular format. Once that connection is reaching the destination, the job of that certificate is to make sure that the connection between the two endpoints is secure. If it is not secure, what will happen? It will start giving you, notification that connection is not secure. That you will see here also. Let me show it to you. Here you see. Right. Here stands for Secure Socket Layer. When I click on this is connection is secure. Why it is saying connection is secure? Because there is a certificate which is valid. This kind of certificate gets attached. Here you see, you have Workday organization. This was issued to Workday. Who was that? There is a provider that is called as GF. What they do is they are the certificate provider. They are called as the actual terminology right now. But don't worry, I will tell it to you. They will. They are the global certificate providers. In that case, what they do, whenever you have to build certain kind of connection and you want to make it secure, then you have to get the certification from them. They are the global providers. They can provide it to anybody. You just have to pay and you will get the request and the certificate. Once you have it, it becomes very difficult for anybody to make the changes because they encrypt the data using, keys like. And if you see, there is a expiry date also. G3 2021 each year. This has to be revalidated. The connections does not fake. That is how exactly it works. There are two types of, in FTP, implicit and explicit SAL. Although these things have nothing to do with Workday. But I am just trying to give you an additional knowledge. In this, how exactly it works, I will tell you // This is how your address will be of, and then you have your IP addresses or whatever it is. Generally, it is your IP address. You can use either. It does not matter. When you use this, make sure you have a certificate in place. Otherwise, you can't do that. And again, you have the user ID and password. That is mandatory. Is that clear? Or it's not clear. You have not understood it. Is there a place where we import the certificate? We don't do that. Because see, this address is not our address. This is a third-party address. Sometimes in some system, I have seen that if you are calling to, of course, that was a part of HTTPs, not. I was thinking, if we had to do it here, that's not required. Next is your HTTP. In this section, if you see, right, it's asking you for a rest. For example, if I put this address, if you see, and put it here, it will not give me any error because it has this ATPs associated with it. And then there are multiple ways of authentication. Here you see web service, invocation type. I have got basic authentication, no security, Ponto, web service, password 2.0. Was not there before, it has recently been added in the last release. When you say basic authentication, what happens here? ID user and password you have to put is no security. It is just that certificate, which is basically, putting the effort of securing your data. Even your username and password is not mandatory. Then you have to end up. This is called as open authentication. When you have your there is auth provider. What is this auth provider going to do? They are going to provide you access token, refresh token, client ID and client secret. What are these? When I talk about access token, right? Access token basically helps you connecting to the third party by generating some unique number alphabet. It's a combination of that. Tool is basically cost open authentication. But when you have this quite, which is open authentication, there are few things, if you see, all of them are mandatory. Whenever you have to coin to, there is auth provider. When I say auth provider, which means there is one connection that they have to tell you that what is going to be your access token, because this access token can change also. It is not that it will always remain the same. And then you see this refresh token basically helps you get the fresh access token, from where this refresh token will come. This is where your has to be put. You have your client ID and client secret. That is all. More like link. These are more like a website address that you have to put here. Client access, client secret. This is more in this when you use web service. Security, you and password. It just has a username and password to attach to that. That's it. It's a simple, like using a P or X. Nothing is there different. Problem. We are going into the web service that also we have discussed, right? This was about P. Then comes and oh, but what is difference is the authentication method. Also, you will see the address is put in the such a way the and then you have the IP addresses and everything like this. You see, this is how that it works. And then you have authentication method. There are two ways. A, username. If you have authentication, right, you have the user password, and then this the one which needs to upload authentication keypad. This will be generated. Whatever it you will have to generate this need to be upload Workday system. It will not be something that you will get it direct. You will have to it from the client. If you are using it, for that you need the user and that keypad. Nothing. If you are using username, password, the user password required. Everybody. You see, exit delivery method already integration already be with the work. You see, existing protocol actually don't repeat connections already connection with again Go ahead. Connection. B. The connections. Use case delivery method. Good. With work attach reason. Getting. Because or understand. Integration. Don't we whether reach work op workday attachment integration opt we getting transformation delivery right work uh, integration system click action integration long integration organization frequency click document retention policy document retention integration cap mark key mark comment on it I'll get downloaded by default. You know it opens in RTF because here it has been set it up in that way. What I'll do, I'll go ahead and click on Open with Excel. You see, this is what I am getting and this is what you have in your report. Right, does that make sense? Right, this is how your data is actually sent into the third-party system. And now you see, it's very easy if you have all the information. Details of the client. This is the most useful integration. The only drawback with this is you can only use one data source at one time, which means I can only have either a web service or a custom report, and that data is going all at once. But suppose if I have to choose the data from multiple places, I can't do that. That's the only drawback of EIB. Otherwise, this is the most useful, the most easiest way of building an integration. And you see, I have not used code anywhere. Right? Does that make sense, guys? When our custom report, you said no, there was this. Web the custom report. When it is a web service enabled, that is only web service. Right? Correct. That report becomes a web service. And where do we specify the retention policy in the integration? I'll go back. See, this is the process. I'll go back to the. This is the one view integration system. Right? I'll edit it and I'll shoot it. I thought I already did see that is in the delivery section. Document retention policies. Right now, I've selected one. DLD's maximum is 180. Let's say I want to put it more, like 181. See the field. Document retention policy must have a valid value between 1 to 180. It cannot be on 180 days, but I'll keep it 1 because this is a practice standard. I cannot go ahead and store it for permanently. This is how your EIB works, guys. Is there any retrieve mechanism? Yes, retrieve mechanism is how you can do. It is. You can really, keep on scheduling, but if it fails, just imagine if it fails, what will happen is you will have to manually do it, or there's option in this. It says minute reoccurrence. You can set this up. Every minute it will try to send the data to the third party. This is the only way by which you can retrieve, otherwise there is no other option. And if it fails, you will get a notification here in this bell icon that the integration that is running is not completed or has completed with these errors. And this is how exactly it will look like. Can we customize this notification? Yes, you can customize it. How? There is an option. I will let you know. Basically, in EIB, you may not be able to do, but in core connectors, you can still do that. Alright, this is what we have in the Outbound EIB. We have Inbound EIB still pending. If Outbound is clear, write Inbound is very easy inbound. You will understand it just like that. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@upptalk.com.